When this aura is toggled on, whenever you hit an enemy with a skill in your primary or secondary slot, create a flashing dart. While it's toggled on, you no longer have mana regen. Ouch. Ooh. This one scales up a little bit, but would give me attack speed, armor penetration, and elemental penetration. That's an option. Let's see, extra damage if you're lower than X life. Raw damage and crit... Oh, it's an act... I generally prefer to go with passives, because I'm a lazy bones. Oh. Oh, it's an ice aura. Oh, here we go. Extra gold is fine, Slormancer's fine, and magic item quality. Right off the bat. It's not much, but let's go greed. I'll have to look at some of the rest of these and see what we get access to. This is movement and attack speed, which is decent. Let's see. Shield globe, inner fire whenever you're dealt damage. Chance to trigger all of your ancestral strike effects. Raw damage, armor penetration. I know some of these, like, as you get further in, just aren't available yet. Yeah, a number of these are straight up unavailable. I was really hoping that I could find one that specifically gives me health regen. The movement and attack speed isn't terrible, though. There's also your ancestral strikes create a large thunderbolt. Like, some of these might actually be real good. But I can also pop stuff off as we go along. It doesn't look like I got a whole lot of healing. Oh, here's another one. If I want to go for finances. Yeah, so it looks like I'm mildly out of luck for cool things to get on this tree. But I'll be fine with what I've got. And we'll invest a little bit, just for the extra cool loot. This looks like Path of Exile level skill trees. It's a little bit, I mean, mainly the thing that's huge for me on this is that I can specifically, I can respec whenever I want, which, like, that's major. Need to find the keys to the crypt. Enter the crypt to the McRips. Got it. Let's see. Thought about getting the wholesome gang together to play one of those co-op board games and tabletop sim. We've done it a couple of times. Another bizarre phenomenon at work. It wasn't like this the last time I was here. Okay, enemies are faster. Oh boy, that's gonna be rough. We'll see how it goes. But that's okay. Let's see. Where's my mind? What was I talking about? Right, my brother and some other things. Okay. Let's see. What's your opinion on MMOs or mobile games? I had minimal interest. I like Final Fantasy XIV, but even then, I don't get a whole lot of enjoyment out of most MMOs. Like, playing Outriders is what I want MMOs to be nowadays, and the only game that gets close to that is Destiny, go figure. Otherwise, I find most MMOs to actually be quite boring. It's just because they're so long. You know, if I play a game, I want to be able to kind of blitz through to the end after about 20 hours, unless it's a really, really long story-based CRPG or something like that. Let's see, wonder you could have your brother look into dual booting. He's already dual booting Linux and Mac, and so dual booting Linux, Mac, and PC would give him no hard drive space, which is why he hasn't done it yet. I'm sure I could make it work, but I might as well just wait, because he's got other stuff that he should be doing, like finishing his papers anyway. Let's see, can I interest you in a board game called Ludo? I don't know. I don't make much of the schedule. What I honestly am probably going to start doing is trying to contact people for my own co-op games. Like I said, oh, they do dodge. Let's see. Start pushing for, you know, Deep Rock Galactic. I just feel like maybe like a Friday night kind of thing could kind of work. The main issue is that if I schedule too much stuff, then I actually lose all of my recording days. And I'm going to have to drastically change what my channel is. Because I'm currently taking 2 days off already, Tuesdays and Thursdays, just for myself. And an amount of that actually gets spent recording. You know, I'm still recording Valheim with Rito, Orbital, and Rhapsody. And so if I start doing, you know, multiplayer Friday nights and then D&D campaigns on Saturdays, after a certain point, I might actually have to rethink the idea of doing full series on anything. Which, that's a little spooky for me, and I'm not sure if I'm comfortable to make the full switch to just a pure, like, one-off schedule. Because I'd probably still put out an equal amount of content, but it would probably be spread out across multiple channels, more so. So I think before I make any big switches, I'll probably wait until Wanderbot Prime is reasonably sized, because that'll give me a lot more flexibility. Because if I could have two medium-sized channels that are kind of growing in tandem, and in a complementary manner, I think that would be so much more comfortable for me. I like your full series. You're one of the few people who actually play the entire game through. Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I'm, like, a little tentative about going back. Because, yeah, for so many games, I am the only person that will ever do a full series on it. Which actually makes me feel really weird when I, like, bail on a game that I'm interested in. Because I'm like, yeah, nobody else is doing a series on this, or if they are, they're super small beans. It sounds like going from a Let's Player to a reviewer. Yeah, and that's why I'm not fully comfortable with doing the switch. Because I like doing what I do. It's just... Oh, new enemy type. Do we think that's the Necromancer with the hat? Probably not, seeing as I didn't get a hat from that. Let's see, what about Prime? Have I found a channel yet? Do you have a link? Yeah, there should be a command that's like ! Wanderbot Prime. Otherwise, you can just Google it. But it is my burgeoning video essay channel that I've been working on. Sort of video essay, sort of review, sort of some other things. Yeah, I don't know what the command is. Oh, there it is. It's just Wander Prime. Thank you. I should probably make it Wanderbot Prime. Or I should make two duplicate commands that do the exact same thing. But no, I like doing full series, or at least getting deeper into a game than just a first episode, because there are a lot of games, like Slormancer, for example, where the depth and the quality doesn't show up until about episode 3, from a YouTube perspective. Yeah, I will have a video on Loop Hero actually going out on Wanderbot Prime in a couple of days. Because I wanted to highlight just how Loop Hero managed to, like, stand out so much this year. Because that game I think caught, like, a lot of people by surprise. I mean, honestly, it's also just a great game. But mostly I'm talking about, like, novelty and accessibility and stuff. Let's see. Yeah, just make Wanderbot Prime as an alias for the command. That's what I will do. I'll admit you were temporarily addicted to Loop Hero. It's a great game, and it didn't outstay its welcome. I can't wait for them to add more to it, because it feels like the kind of game that would have been better with twice as much content, but only twice as much. You know, just a couple more character classes to get some variety in. Some more interesting gear effects, more land bits, and more hidden synergies. I think that's the weakest part of Loop Hero, is that they had this really cool, like, land synergy thing, and you pretty much figure out all of the interesting ones within the first maybe 5 hours, and then after that it's just like, oh yeah, and also here's desert, which combos with the river, and that's it. And then, like, the only real secret ones are what you need to do to get the Toad King, which isn't even a synergy so much as just an Easter egg. And then the shipwreck. And that's about it. But otherwise, like, dang fantastic and a lot of fun. And I want to play more of it. Just because I almost kind of hope it becomes the new Slay the Spire, where you get a bunch of follow-ups. Because Slay the Spire got Monster Train. And maybe Monster Train would have happened regardless. I'm not entirely sure. But I would gladly play a kind of a remix of Loop Hero made by somebody else with a different set of ideas, as opposed to it just being kind of a pale clone. Wasn't Shipwreck just River Near the Road? River Near a Battlefield. But you're never really incentivized to have a river near the, you're never really incentivized having a river near any of the loop-centric structures. It's only useful on the things that, you know, go around the outside. Like, way outside, so forests, mountains, dunes, and so on and so forth. Wonder should I get Monster Train on Xbox? It is incredibly good. Like, I'm honestly not sure which I like more, Slay the Spire or Monster Train. Because Slay the Spire is real fun. Monster Train just feels like it has so much more personality and flexibility. Even though I think Slay the Spire still has more that you can do in it. There's just something really satisfying about Monster Train that Slay the Spire doesn't quite even capture. Yeah, preferred due to the strategic placements. Yep. There's just a lot of stuff that you can do. The new tiles are definitely what I want more than anything for Loop Hero. I just want, like, one more class, because I ended up just mostly playing Rogue and Necromancer. And I feel like that one more class would be all it needed. What about Ring of Pain? That's also cool. Ring of Pain is great, but I would not even compare that to anything else. What about Vault of the Void? Speaking of, I gotta contact the developers about that. Vault of the Void is great. I think the main problem is that, it's one of those games that in a vacuum, Vault of the Void is just as good as Slay the Spire and Monster Train. Same thing with Arcanium, which I really like. The problem is, it's very early access compared to Slay the Spire and Monster Train, so it's a bit harder of a recommendation, because it's just like, it's super good, but it's automatically overshadowed by everything that came before it. And this is a serious problem that a lot of the games industry has. That, oftentimes, you will have one game that effectively hogs all of the search results and the mental space that the industry might have over a game. Oh, we have nothing else. Let's leave this place. Oh, that was easy. And Monster Train feels like it balances the game around your fun, which I love. Yeah! And I think they even admitted to that in like an interview or something, that the idea of Monster Train was not to balance the game in the slightest, but to make it ridiculous, and to make everything ridiculous. Before we can continue, we have to stop here and find the keys to the crypt and the McRips that Pedro hid here. They shouldn't be that far. Destroy things. Oh, so potentially destroy pots. The games industry is super saturated right now, has been for a few years. Yep. Yes, this is where I hid the keys to the crypt. They must be around here somewhere. Probably in a pot or in a grave. Easiest thing would be to break everything. We'll stumble upon it eventually. Okay. But yeah, saturation is a huge problem, but I think part of it is, though, idea saturation is more of the issue than actual game saturation. Because so many games are so like so many other games that it becomes very difficult to have kind of your own identity and brand if you exist within the same space as another game. And this happens with quite a lot of different games. I bring up Darksiders often as like one of those games that I feel like is criminally underrated, even though I think it actually did well enough in the end. But like it wasn't enough to save THQ, for example. But I think that's more of an issue with THQ. Seriously, like, if you guys haven't played Darksiders yet, it remains probably my favorite AA series that has ever come out. Darksiders 1 had some really amazing, like, character designs and moments, but the environments were kind of uninteresting. The level design and puzzles were great. Darksiders 2 was much more, honestly, Diablo-y with the randomized loot and an ability, like, giant ability tree and some other stuff. That I feel like, I wish I saw more games that followed in that game's footsteps, purely just because of how interesting the ability system was. Darksiders 3, I actually should go back and play, because I heard they made a better, like, a less Souls-y version of it that was a little bit more Darksiders-y, which felt really good. Okay, I'm actually going to go this. We are going to switch over to... Is this the one that gives me... Leap? Yes. Oh, I need to actually equip it. Reason being, I'm not using this banner. I keep forgetting it exists. But no, the secret sleeper hit for the Darksiders series is actually Genesis. If you guys haven't seen or played Darksiders Genesis, it remains amazing, and probably one of the best co-op games I've ever played. And I feel like that game, I think it launched to a lot of uncertainty, and I don't think enough people actually gave it the light of day because of it. Isn't Genesis the top-down shooter thing that looks like a mobile title? Yeah, see, that's the problem. Because, really, it's not a top-down shooter. It's actually... It plays closer to Curse of the Dead Gods. Like, it's got full-on, like, Souls... maybe not stamina management. But it's like a really well-made action RPG with, like, parrying and near dodges and a bunch of other stuff that makes it, like, it's super fun. Oh, that was a bit of a waste of a dash. That's okay. And, yeah, best of all, you can play with another person, and the two different characters play wildly different from each other. One character is kind of a mid-range dual-gun shooter, and the other guy is straight up just a Dark Souls 1 character. Maybe not Dark Souls 1, I don't know. But, like, big heavy hits, focus on parrying and so on and so forth, and it's super good. But I don't know. It's a bit of a shame because I know currently they're working on the Ruined King game for, let's see, for League of Legends, which actually looks really good, and I'm absolutely going to play it. Even though I'm not that big on League of Legends to begin with, I might as well anyway. Let's see. But, what was I going to say? Right. They're working on that, and it's going to be a little bit more like the Battle Chasers game, which I think is still good. I don't know. I feel like Airship Syndicate is one of those studios that, like, if they can get their big break, they'll never stop putting out the hits. They just have never quite hit their big break, because all of their games are a little bit more niche. And I think a lot of people just dismiss them because they feel a bit mobile-ish. These are certainly the keys to the crypt. Let's go back to the village. Let's see, what's your opinion of Ashes of Creation? No idea. I have no opinion. I don't remember it. I think that's an MMO. Okay, you'll have to come back and clean up the mess you made, though. In the meantime, let's get you to the Crypt of the McRips. I probably forgot to read some dialogue there. It's okay. I'm not playing this for the plot. The name puns, I will admit, I'm down for, but still. But no, like, I don't think you're ever going to be able to fully convince me to enjoy an MMO anymore. The Shovel Compass is very agitated. There are several breaches around. Good luck. But I will also say, please, for the love of God, do not turn this into, what do you think of this game? What about this game? What about this game? What are you looking forward to? I always feel like that's a bit of a disservice to the game that I'm currently playing. Or at least the genre. Because it's like, it's cool, but this is the sort of thing that honestly should be always asked of me in Discord. I specifically have a channel on my Discord that is Ask Wander, and I try to answer a bunch of these, though it's... Please always Google if I've played a game before asking about a game that is already out, because I will not... I give people on Discord that ask if I've played Hollow Knight. Like, I think it's happened, and it's just like... Eh. Or if I'm going to play Hollow Knight Silksong, which, like, every time somebody asks that, some evil part of me says, maybe not this time. And then... then I have to be like, no, that's terrible. Why would I do that to myself? I don't care about other people. I want to play that game. I wonder if I should do a just chatting stream every once in a while. The problem is, there's so many games and so little time that to do a just chatting more or less means I don't get to, I don't get to cover something, which is rough. Let's see. But yeah, so I'm not going to answer any more questions about, like, what about this game? What about this game? And in general, I should probably stay away from that just because, like, it's not content. It's just me talking about my schedule. Which, like, that's hell. I don't want that. I'm already cursed by that enough. That turning my content into talking about what I'm going to do and what my plans are is just maddening. Plus, I don't know. Why waste the brain space on talking about scheduling when I can talk about something a little bit more meaningful? Question mark. Like, I like talking about mechanics and gameplay things or industry standards. You know, the idea of games being like other games. If we want to talk about another game, like, I'm super down for talking more about, oh, Ascension Mastery. Right. Even the Ascension Mastery levels up. That makes total sense. This game has a lot of progression. I dig it. Let's see. But yeah, talking about all these, like, different deck builders and how many of them are so similar, but slightly different and overshadowed by each other. I think that's incredibly true for Slormancer. I'm really curious to see how it's going to match up. Because, like, this was one of my top anticipated games for this year. Finding out it was launching in early access, I think, was a bit of a hit, just because. Anytime a game launches in early access, I lose a little bit of interest in it. Only just because, like, it's very hard to get invested in early access games anymore. So many of them launch in this kind of incomplete state. And it's like, it's great. And it's a lot of fun, but it's like, I know if I wait, if I'm patient, I can come back in like a year or two and actually have a better experience. Let's see, that and the optimization issue. I don't think this one has much for optimization issues, but yes, this is often true with a lot of early access games. The Forest, I think, is an easy one to point at to some degree, where back when I played The Forest for the very first time, I think I still have that first video out. It was busted. I had like an axe and a flare gun in the same hand, and so when I swung the axe, I'd shoot the flare gun, and I had unlimited flare gun ammo, so it was effectively just this, like, ridiculous horror beast of a combat machine. But the frame rate was, like, 10 FPS at, like, all times, and there was nothing I could do to fix it. And so it was a ton of fun, but it was also just kind of like, gosh, I wish they had waited. And then apparently, like, it's still not particularly done. Like, I've heard there's a lot of really critical game-breaking bugs that still exist within it. And that they've pretty much just given up on them. Oh, right, I'm not actually destroying things anymore. I'm closing rifts. Let's see, they're not fixing or optimizing anything. They're just going to make another game. Which, like, honestly, I think after a certain point, that is actually the way to go. Because certain games will just be perpetually broken no matter what. And no amount of, like, reconfiguring will truly fix them. Let's see. Kind of in the same vein, game that I was really looking forward to having a multiplayer update, Forager, canceled the multiplayer update a couple days ago. I think it might have even been yesterday. But with it, he fired like an amount of his dev staff and was kind of snide about how they did a poor job. Which actually was really disappointing, just because, like, even if somebody did a garbage job, that kind of thing looks bad, and, like, I'd have to see how it turned out and really know the story. But I'm so sensitive to people who do well becoming assholes that whenever anybody is, like, kind of snide about that stuff, I'm just like, uh-oh. Please don't be one of those people. Because it does happen, and it happens a lot. Power gets to people's heads. But I was really looking forward to the multiplayer update, so I could probably snag Orbital, and the two of us would just do some dumb economy sim stuff for a while. Okay. Speaking of talking about my schedule, don't you feel like indie industry became a huge conveyor for influencers? Like, cover this game today, play tomorrow, talk about this a bit later? Maybe? If you want to rephrase that a little bit, I mean, the indie industry absolutely is like a playground for a lot of influencers to exist, yes, but I think that's just true of YouTube in general. Whereas AAA has a bit of a volume problem, that there are only so many AAA games that can even come out, and many of them are bad, due to aforementioned business taking precedence to actual gameplay design. Yeah, Forge is an amazing game, and the creator was really humble and cared about his crew when the game was small. Yeah, which makes me wonder, like, what happened now? Benefit of the doubt, they like, the people he hired probably did a bad job. Just because. Because he said he hasn't even been working on Forager. He's been working on a sequel that hopefully will solve a lot of the intrinsic problems with the game. Because it was originally made in Game Maker. Like, go figure. Multiplayer is going to be really hard to implement into that just baseline. Let's see. But who knows? I was disappointed, but after a certain point, yeah, cut the losses. Cut the losses, start over, and hope for the best. But yeah, if he slowly kind of descends, then I'll probably maybe stay away from Forager 2. We'll see. I just want to stay away from, like, any potential Day of Dragons developers or Phil Fishes. So what are the issues with Forager? None immediately, it's just that there was going to be a multiplayer update, and apparently it was bad, so they just canceled it. Also lighthouses. The fan base for Forager was kind of abusive, and that was something that I actually was not a big fan of. It was the same kind of pushy, aggressive, backseaty stuff that actually is, Forager, Undermine, and Slay the Spire. Those are the 3 games that I can conclusively point to for why I have the negative reaction that I do to backseating. And, like, there are many other games, yes, but those 3 specifically are the ones that have given me my complex in regards to, people's treatment of me when they often are trying to tell me how to play a game or teach me how to play a game. Ooh, Sword of the Sharpshooter. Okay, let's see how that goes. Okay, so I can just equip it. So, projectile skills, Reaper damage multiplier, armor penetration, elemental penetration when idle for at least half a second, gain steady feet, additional projectiles. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright. I'm a happy camper. That's what I was looking for. Speak loudly, carry many sticks, and then chuck them at your enemies. The only immediate problem with this is not actually particularly good against these guys, and this guy's probably too good at aiming at me. But it doesn't matter. That's really good. Yeah, if I could reduce the planted duration, or not duration, the time before it triggers, I will be a happy camper. I mean, it's pretty quick. I just have to stop moving for some time. This is why I wanted to play this game. Because I knew there was weird shit like this that was lurking later on in this game. And that if I could just get there, get to the point where I had access to it, it was going to be incredible. And I was right. I was completely right. Yeah, it really doesn't take much time. The only immediate problem is if I need to dodge for any reason, I'm out of luck. But that's okay. I'm still pretty dang strong as a ranged guy, even without the planted bonus in my favor. Whew. But yeah, this is something that always kills my interest a little bit in most Diablo-likes, is they tend to be kind of boring with what they do. It's part of the reason why I had trouble getting into Diablo 3, is that you don't actually start getting the unique upgrades until after you've beaten the game and are onto the adventure maps and so on and so forth, which is just kind of like, hey, grind until the game gets fun again, and I'm like, don't want that. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to move. These are just a bunch of archers. Okay. But yeah, I will definitely say, like, if it wasn't for the indie industry, streaming might still exist, but it would honestly be much more of just an esports thing. That I can safely say that, like, if there was no indie boom, I would not be doing this. I would probably be an indie developer, and I probably would have been, like, really aggressive on working towards that. But I'm perfectly happy being where I am. It'd be really cool to publish some games at some point. Skill in your secondary slot has a chance to ignore armor. Hey, cool. Let's see, what do we got over here? But yeah, you wouldn't see nearly as many people just playing weird shit all the time. It would very much be maybe a couple of... You'd have, like, Chugga Conroy and maybe a couple other, like, LP legends that existed back in the early days. But it very much would have been a, let's see. It very much would have been like a small, tight crew, and probably would not nearly have the audience that these games currently do. Or these games? Let's see. Games like this currently have. There we go. This is a great combo. I love it. See, Wonder could make a great roguelike deck builder. No, thank you. I think if, honestly, if I were to make something, I would try and go way out of bounds, and just make something stupid. Like, a roguelike visual novel would be fascinating. I would probably do that. Figure out how to make that work. It'd probably fail. I guess it wouldn't really be a roguelike visual novel. I don't know. I don't think I'd make a roguelike, I think is the real answer. I have a lot of insight in how to make good ones, but I wouldn't have a good insight in... Yeah, I mean, maybe a Monster Collection one. I could probably swing that. Isn't that just choose your own adventure? Yeah, kinda. So you get rejected by the girl, and it's game over. See, the thing is, like, visual novels don't have to be dating sims. I'd want it to be like Pyre, but with like a shit ton of endings, and you have to play it repeatedly to unlock stuff and like learn how to win. So I don't know if it would be a full roguelike, but it would probably have roguelite elements where you get an ending, but it's not the only ending. But yeah, Pyre is super underrated. Yup. Pyre is fantastic. It is the first game that ever made me realize that, oh man, maybe visual novels are actually really good. And just no one wants to make them because everybody thinks they're dating sims. And that's exactly probably why most people don't think about visual novels. We have no more business here. Let's get back to the village. But yeah, it would be a complex branching story. But I was thinking you would unlock things that apply to like subsequent runs, and I don't know. If somebody wants to steal this idea and make it before me, I will gladly play it instead. Otherwise, eventually I'll get sick of it not existing and I'll make it myself. Actually, get me out of there. No way to open these breaches with my key. I have no keyhole. Well, fair enough. Also, holy shit, thank you, Village Sniper, for the... I actually have no idea how many subs that is. Probably 20, 30? Unfortunately, my mini feed is like 4 days back, which is the least useful thing ever. 50! Holy shit, thank you! That's a lot more. Damn! Today has been something. Thanks! Hello. Oh, Professor Geranium. It's good to see you again. I see you found your first SLORM Reaper. Excellent, excellent. I hope you like it. Did you know SLORM Reapers can only be found by destroying SLORM breaches? So if you're looking for no SLORM Reapers, it's good to look where breaches are appearing in large numbers, like expeditions. Yup. Whew. But yeah, thank you so much. How you doing this fine and lovely evening? Afternoon. Might actually be pretty late for most people. It's getting to be late on my end. Thank you for getting me out of there. My prison looks, occupied. Check in with Balstrang. He'll probably have expeditions available in the prison. Alright, we'll do that later. I want to finish much of the story, though. It's like a level 12 hype train. I kind of wish, Twitch would actually recognize when you get absolutely blasted by subs like that. And it's just like, well, you are now the level bazillion hype train. Thank you. Seriously, thank you.